Welcome back to CBH4K, and this is the AAA gaming industry dying, according to ex-Nexion CEO. Well, he believes it. That's what the title says. Before we begin, I like to just jump to the conclusion of just like, yes, it is. It is definitely, I wouldn't say dying, but at least very, very sick. Some people will say, no, that's not true. And those people are either ill-informed or, let's just say, shilling for the AAA studio. Now, hey, I'm not here to say they're bad people. I'm just saying I respect the hustle, okay? Because they really have to do overtime to sort of get AAA's back. In this situation, they really have to be bringing the hustle. And Nexion is the people behind the Arc Raiders. I looked it up through my Google Foo, and my Google Foo accidentally screwed up, and I landed in Nexion. Is like a South Korean gaming company, and then there's the other Nexion, which is basically I think it's based in U.S. I'm not sure. The Owen Mahoney. Well, yeah, he kind of sounds like a U.S. name. So, yeah, it's probably based in U.S. But I don't want to just spend all day Googling what Nexion is. I said let's go into what this article is about. I will read some of it. I won't read the whole thing, but I might read the whole thing. Let's just begin. Owen Mahoney warns the industry will collapse unless it gets a serious rewrite. Where AAA once stood for quality and signified a game being great by default, the sheer number of underwhelming AAA releases in 2024 and 2025 range from simply disappointing to downright awful to Concord. Damn, Concord, you are the bottom of the barrel. My man, that has got to be the most crushing thing. Like, your morale and your ego is just gone if you're a Concord developer. like, damn, I try my best, man. You have to bring me in here. You had to slander me. Alright. And the concurrent rise of indie and AA gaming have turned those letters that once carried weight into little more than an indicator of a title's production budget. Which is true. Just because something's very, very, very expensive doesn't mean it's all. Is this the pirate game Ubisoft released? I remember this. It's called the Suicide Squad game, and Suicide Squad kills the Justice League, and it was dude. That's all I'm gonna say about it. It's that heavy sigh. Anyway, sharing this opinion is Owen Mahoney, Nexion's former CEO, responsible for acquiring Arc Raiders Dev Embark Studio in 2021, who recently said he believes the AAA gaming industry is in dire straits these days, comparing the current situation to an end of days scenario. This is very interesting. Alright, being corporate himself, i.e. knowing better than anyone else how CEOs, CFOs, and other C-level executives think and what drives them, Mahoney stated in an interview, I'm sorry if I'm butchering this guy's name, but, you can't pronounce everyone's names perfectly. I'm sorry. That's just the way the world is. People have different accents, different voice inflections, vocal inflections, different ways they speak, and, it's hard to perfectly pronounce everyone's name. With the game business, Mahoney stated in an interview with the game business that he sees reluctance and fear of taking risks shown by gaming giants as the main reason the AAA industry is now knocking on heaven's door. Well, that's fair because, it's a very expensive thing you're putting here and it has to perform. I think that's the main reason why it's failing is because of the price that the company has to pay to produce it. The budget is immense, and they can't just have an okay sales. You know what I mean? They can't have an okay. Well, we did okay in the sales. We did okay in the actual return on an investment. Like, no, they have to blow it out of proportion of what they spent because they got to also factor in marketing. They also got to factor in Steam, and they're going to take a cut. And other platforms that distribute the game are going to take a cut as well because they don't do it for free. So this is all very, very expensive. Let's play a game. Company Tycoon, he explains. You're sitting in the CEO seat. You're running a $23 billion company. And you have to make a decision in a very short period of time to greenlight a project. And you know if the new project doesn't do well, you're going to be explaining to your board why you burnt $300 million in company. Wow, that is a lot. You get one of those mistakes with a board of a company that size. If you do it again, they're going to call openly for your head. And by the third time you have an activist investor, you'll have an activist investor. Every CEO who runs a public gaming company is in the exact situation. Yeah, I don't know what you mean by activist investor. When I hear activist, I get, oh, please no more. But I think it means something different here. I think it means like basically somebody who's trying to get rid of you or campaigning to just drop a CEO from a company. And to be perfectly honest, $300 million is wild. If you're losing that on every venture and not getting getting your losses back or in better. By the way, it's not good enough just to get your what you spent on something back. You're expecting a return on investment. So if you spend $10, you're expecting $15 back. And if the competition for that gives $20 back for your 10, while the one you're using currently just gives you 15 back, who are you gonna pick? One of them gives you 15 back, the other doubles what you were giving. So it kind of makes it really simple. People aren't going to stay loyal to something just because, well, come on, guys, let's just work it out for a minute. No. These are corporations that need money to function. Like, people make money off of this. That's why it exists. If they no longer make money off of it, then what's its purpose? The former director added that unless big studios rethink their entire approach to game development and start setting trends instead of simply following them, the AAA... Well, you can't do that because trends are very difficult to predict. And at best, you can guess maybe one or two trends correctly, but you're gonna fall on your face if you're trying to trend set and you don't know how to trend set. Like, There's a particular science to it, and if you don't know how to do it, it's just going to be embarrassing. Now, they could probably figure it out, but again, it's difficult to do. So I understand them not wanting to go on a wild experiment, hoping that they can set a new trend. Because sometimes people just say, you know what, I don't think this trend is pretty cool. And they just straight up leave. But I digress. Back to the article. The AAA industry could end up even worse than it is now, potentially collapsing altogether. Gasp, sob. Okay, that's back to the guy again. I think that the AAA industry is structurally at its end, and without a serious rewrite of the ways we go ahead about making games, it's going to end more disaster than it has already. Mahoney says, how come it was so obvious that Embark was a great deal for Nexon until about weeks ago? What does it say about the industry? It reminds me of when Minecraft came out and of nowhere, and every single belief by mind and cliché that we had about high fidelity graphics was blown out of the water once again. Clash Royale came out and suddenly everybody realized that you could have synchronous online PvP, whereas day before people said nobody wants that on mobile. These are things that the industry grapples with. They believe one thing until someone shows them different. That is an indication of where the industry head is at right now. Everybody's so busy trying to execute on today's business, they're having a real hard time thinking about tomorrow's business. It's not just video games, man. It's literally everywhere right now. There's a cultural shift that's happening, and it's pretty devastating for a lot of them because they didn't predict it at all. So, do you agree with Mahoney's outlook? Is risk averse truly the biggest issue in AAA gaming today? How would you fix it, the industry? Share your thoughts in the comments. Okay. Also, forgetting they're talking about newsletter. You can read that part. Let's answer that question for them. Do I agree with their outlook? Yes. Yes, I do. Is it the biggest issue? Yes, I think it is the biggest issue because they're kind of stuck around this idea that they need to follow this current trend, and the current trend changes so quickly and so rapidly that it's probably better just to make a good game. It's probably better just to reorient your budgets to focus on, okay, instead of spending $300 million on one big game, why not spend $30 million on a easier game that for strategy gaming fans or RPG fans or racing fans, and put a lot of money and time into making that. It doesn't have to be the biggest selling game ever. It just has to be. You just have to make $100 million back. You can make several cheaper games instead of one big expensive one, and by making several cheaper games, you can actually make. How would I say it? You can actually make bank with that. Let's just say one of them doesn't perform well. Oh, well, that happens. And just move on. Instead, now, you got $300 million in every one of them. Is a devastating loss if it doesn't go through. And you can only make one of those per year. Okay, in investment, there's something called diversification. And you guys really need to diversify all of your stuff. And I'm talking to the corporate level people. Like, you need to diversify in order to survive this. So my recommendation is to do what I just said, which is just focus on cheaper AA games, put those out. If they do well, they do well. Now, you're probably thinking, well, some of them, what if a bunch of them fail? Well, you can reorient what you're planning better if you spend less than if you spend more. Say, okay, if you have one that's doing pretty well, you can put a little bit more money into it. Don't go to 300 million like you did before, because that honestly, that shot you in the foot. Instead, go for like maybe 40 million or 50 million, maybe closer to 100 million if it does really well. But you need to scale things back. That's the most important thing. You have to scale it back. Now, we could talk about other things that's going on in the gaming industry, but I think that's going to be the main thing that helps the gaming industry out, is just scaling some of this back. And that's how I would fix the industry. That's like the main way. There are other ways I would do. There's other things I would do too, but we won't go into that here. This video was mostly about how much the AAA gaming industry is just spending like crazy, and it's all on one big game per year, and that's not enough to maintain their brand strength, if you understand what I mean. But I hope this helps, and I hope this helps people who are unsure what AAA gaming is, suffering from. I hope it helps, and I also hope that some people learn from this and spread the information out there. Thank you so much for stopping by. It's been a delight to have you here. Don't forget the subscribe button, the like button, and comment below on how you would fix the gaming industry right now. I'll catch you in the next one. Take care.